Hold up your hand. Turn it slowly in front of you. Feel the depth of it, the way it occupies space, the distance from your fingertips to your palm. Pick up a stone and you sense the same thing. Width, height and depth, three directions you have trusted since the moment you were born. This is the most basic truth of your existence. And yet, somewhere in the mathematics of black holes, a quiet, terrifying suggestion is hiding. That one of those three dimensions may not be real at all. That depth itself might be a rumor. Begin with something physicists once believed was unbreakable. The universe never forgets. Burn a book to ash, and it feels like the words are gone forever. But in classical physics they are not. Every curl of smoke, every drifting particle of soot, every photon of heat still carries the imprint of what was written. In principle, with perfect knowledge, you could run the laws of nature backwards and reassemble the book, letter by letter, from the ruins. Information is never destroyed, it is only scattered. The past is always, in theory, recoverable. Then came 1974, and a young physicist named Stephen Hawking. He was studying the edges of black holes, expecting silence, and instead he found a whisper. Hawking proved with the cold authority of mathematics that black holes are not completely black. They glow, they radiate a faint thermal haze of particles, a slow exhalation now called Hawking radiation. It was a discovery of breathtaking elegance. But folded inside that elegance was a paradox so severe it would haunt physics for the next 30 years, and threaten to unmake everything we thought we knew about reality. To understand the danger, you must first understand the black hole's edge, the event horizon. It is not a surface you can touch, it is a boundary in spacetime itself, a point of no return. Cross it and gravity becomes so absolute that escape would require moving faster than light, which nothing can do, not a rocket, not a signal, not light itself. Whatever falls past that line is severed from the rest of the universe, forever. The event horizon is the most perfect prison nature has ever built. Nothing checks out, nothing comes back. Now bring the two ideas together, and watch the crack appear. A black hole swallows a star, a planet, a library, a human life. All of that information vanishes behind the horizon. Then, slowly, the black hole evaporates through Hawking radiation, shrinking until it disappears entirely. But Hawking's math said this escaping radiation was featureless, random, identical, no matter what fell in, which means the information would be gone. Not hidden, erased, and if the universe can truly erase information, then the past is no longer recoverable, and the deepest law of physics shatters. But what precisely is being erased? To a physicist, information is not files or words. It is the infrastructure of cause and effect itself. A single bit is the answer to one yes or no question about the world. Is this particle spinning up or down? Where is it? How fast is it moving? What is its charge? Every property of every particle is a string of these answers etched into the fabric of nature. Assemble enough of them and you have an atom, a star, a thought, reality. At its foundation is not made of stuff. It is made of information. And that information is protected by a law so fundamental it rarely gets spoken aloud. Unitarity, it states that when you add up the probabilities of everything that could possibly happen, the total must equal exactly 1. Not 0.9, not 1.1. Precisely 1.0 always. This sounds like accounting, but its consequence is profound. Unitarity makes the equations of quantum mechanics perfectly reversible. Knowing the present state of a system, you can compute its entire past and future. Break unitarity and probability leaks out of the universe, and prediction, causality and physics itself dissolve into nonsense. So Hawking had declared war on the foundations, and two physicists refused to surrender them. Leonard Susskind and Gerard Hooft were certain Hawking had made an error somewhere, that unitarity could not simply die at the edge of a black hole. Hawking, just as certain, insisted the mathematics was clear, information was lost, and the sacred law must yield. What followed was not a quarrel of weeks, but a 30-year intellectual war, fought across blackboards and conferences and journals, with the very rationality of the universe hanging in the balance. They called it the Black Hole War. Susskind and Hooft were hunting for a loophole. some mathematical sleight of hand by which the universe could smuggle information back out of a prison designed to hold it forever. The trapped data could not cross a horizon outward that was forbidden, so perhaps it never truly went in. Perhaps in some sense the human mind strains to picture the information lingered on the surface, copied onto the horizon even as the object plunged through. It was a desperate, beautiful idea. And to make it work, they would have to overturn our intuition about where reality is stored. Consider how storage works in your world. A bigger box holds more. A larger drive holds more files. Capacity scales with volume with three-dimensional space, double the size of a room in every direction, and you can fit roughly 8 times as much inside it. This is so obvious it feels like a law of logic itself. More room means more space to fill. Every instinct you have about holding, containing, and storing is built on this single assumption. And the black hole takes that assumption and breaks it completely, in a way no one was prepared for. Because a black hole's maximum information capacity does not scale with its volume. It scales with its surface area, the two-dimensional skin of the event horizon. Double the surface and you double the storage. The vast three-dimensional interior contributes nothing extra at all. It is as if the deepest, darkest object in the universe keeps all of its secrets written on its outermost membrane, and treats its interior as empty stage. This single, rigorously proven fact is one of the strangest results in all of physics, and it pointed straight toward an idea that sounds like science fiction. They called it the holographic principle. A hologram is a flat sheet that, when lit correctly, projects a full three-dimensional image depth conjured from a surface that has none. The principle proposes that the universe works the same way, that all the information describing a volume of space can be completely encoded on its lower dimensional boundary. The three-dimensional world in this view is a projection. The two-dimensional surface is the source. It was born from a black hole's strange accounting, and it would soon swallow the entire cosmos into its logic. Imagine watching an astronaut fall toward a black hole from a safe distance. You would expect to see them plunge in and vanish, but that is not what relativity predicts. As they near the horizon, the black hole's gravity warps time so severely that from your vantage, their fall slows to a crawl. Their image reddens, dims, and freezes at the edge. And then it spreads flattening, smearing across the two-dimensional surface like ink across glass. From the outside, the astronaut never enters. They dissolve into the horizon, becoming part of its skin, part of its code. So the information is not lost when the black hole evaporates. It was never sealed away in the first place. It was imprinted on the horizon. And as that horizon slowly boils off into Hawking radiation, the data seeps back out with it. Not in clean, readable form, but scrambled, encrypted, hidden in the subtle correlations between escaping particles. The radiation that once seemed featureless is in truth a ferociously complex cipher carrying the exact blueprint of everything that ever fell in. The book is not destroyed, it is shredded into code and patiently broadcast back to the cosmos. And so the event horizon becomes something almost unthinkable, a literal hard drive. A two-dimensional surface storing the complete description of a three-dimensional world, one bit pressed into every tile of its skin, but follows the logic to its end, and the conclusion is staggering. If the surface holds everything, then the interior, the deep three-dimensional bulk we imagined falling into, adds nothing the surface did not already contain. The volume is not the original, it is the translation, a projection read out from the flat, glowing script of the boundary. The drive is the reality, the space is the display. For years, this remained a haunting suspicion. Gorgeous, unsettling, unproven. Then, in 1997, a physicist named Juan Maldacena delivered the proof, and physics has not been the same since. He constructed a complete, self-consistent mathematical universe in which the holographic idea was not a hunch, but a theorem, provable, exact, undeniable. It would become one of the most cited results in the history of science. Maldacena had not merely defended unitarity. He had built a working model of a holographic cosmos and handed humanity its first rigorous glimpse of a reality projected from its own age. His model is called the ADS-CFT correspondence. Picture a universe shaped like the inside of a cylinder. The interior, the bulk, is a full three-dimensional space, complete with gravity, stars bending space-time, objects falling, the universe curving exactly as Einstein described. The outer wall of the cylinder is a flat two-dimensional boundary, alive with ordinary quantum fields. Mordasena proved these two are not merely related. They are identical, the same reality described in two languages. Every event in the gravitating interior corresponds perfectly and completely to a pattern of quantum information dancing on the flat boundary surface. And here lies the bombshell. On that two-dimensional boundary, there is no gravity. None at all, only flat quantum fields obeying ordinary rules. Yet it is exactly mathematically equivalent to an interior where gravity is everywhere. Which forces an almost unbearable question: if a universe with gravity is identical to one without it, then is gravity truly fundamental? Or is it emergent, a large-scale illusion, a pattern that appears only when you read the flat quantum code in a particular way? The most universal force we know may not be woven into reality, it may be projected onto it. This is the heart of the holographic claim. A higher dimensional world full of gravity and depth and curvature can be completely and losslessly encoded as a flat quantum script on its boundary. Nothing is approximated, nothing is left out. Every star, every collision, every ripple of spacetime in the bulk has its exact counterpart in the dance of fields on the surface. The two are not similar models competing for truth. They are one truth wearing two faces, and if that is so, then the entire texture of the three-dimensional space is something written, not something built. Now, take that principle and turn it on the room you are sitting in right now. The walls, the depth of the space, the air between you and this screen. What if all of it is a projection? Not a fake, not a dream, but a three-dimensional image rendered from a flat sheet of information somewhere at the universe's edge. Like the shimmering hologram on a bank card, the depths you perceive could be conjured from a surface with no depth at all. You are not necessarily inside a volume. You may be a pattern being displayed as one. Wave your hand slowly through the air. It feels like empty space, a void you pass through effortlessly. But in the holographic picture, that motion is something stranger. There is no true emptiness for your hand to cross. Instead, every position your hand sweeps through corresponds to a shifting pattern of information on a distant two-dimensional boundary. Pixels rearranging, code rewriting itself, the projection updating to render your movement. The air is not nothing, it is the visible face of a vast cosmic surface, quietly recalculating where everything is, instant by instant on a shield at the edge of all things. And here, the picture sharpens into something testable. If reality is a hologram projected from information, then it cannot be infinitely smooth. A projection is only as fine as its source allows. A photograph has a finite number of grains. A screen has a finite number of pixels. Zoom in far enough on any image born from data, and the seamless surface dissolves into a mosaic of discrete tiles. So if our universe is truly holographic, then space itself must be the same, not a smooth continuum, but a digital mosaic, built from indivisible pieces too small to see. We even know the size of the tile. It is called the Planck area, about 10 to the minus 66 square centimeters. The number is meaningless until you scale it. So try this. Imagine a single atom blown up to the size of the entire observable universe. On that monstrous scale, the Planck length would be no larger than an ordinary grain of sand. That is how far below everything you have ever seen this pixel lives. And on this almost inconceivably fine grid, each tile holds exactly one bit, a single irreducible answer of yes or no. This sets a ceiling on reality that nothing can break. The maximum amount of information any region of space can contain is not set by its volume, but by the area of its boundary, measured in Planck tiles. Count the tiles on the surface and you have counted the absolute limit of everything that can exist inside. There is a hard bandwidth to the universe, a finite resolution to any room, any planet, any galaxy. Cram in more than the boundary allows, and the region collapses into a black hole. Reality has a maximum data rate, and it is written on the edge. But a pixelated universe should betray itself. If space is built from discrete Planck tiles rather than a smooth continuum, then at the finest scales it should not sit perfectly still. It should shimmer, flicker with a faint, irreducible uncertainty. The way a digital image breaks into restless noise when magnified past its resolution. Physicists have given this trembling a name, holographic noise, the quantum jitter of spacetime itself. It would be the blur of a projection examined too closely, the faint hum of the cosmic rendering engine, the universe quietly straining against the limits of its own resolution. And astonishingly, we are now trying to hear it. In real laboratories, physicists build laser interferometers, instruments so precise they can measure changes in length far smaller than a single proton. They split a beam of light, send it down perpendicular arms, and recombine it, watching for the faintest tremor in the fabric of space. If spacetime truly stutters at the Planck scale, these machines may one day catch it, the universe flickering as it refreshes. We are quite literally building devices to detect whether reality has a frame rate, to listen for the spacetime rendering engine at work. Now, lift your gaze to the largest structure we know. The cosmic web, galaxies strung across filaments, billions of light years long, separated by voids so vast that light itself takes eons to cross them. Nothing feels more absolute than that distance. And yet, if the true description of reality lives on a flat two-dimensional boundary, then two galaxies at opposite ends of the visible universe might sit side by side on that sheet, adjacent pixels in the code. Directly connected, the immense distance between them is not fundamental. It is an artifact of the projection, a trick of the rendering. And so, the deepest lesson begins to surface, and it inverts everything. We have always searched for the bedrock of reality by going down into the atom, into the quark, into the smallest, densest core of things. But the holographic principle whispers that we have been digging in the wrong direction. The foundation is not at the bottom of space, it is at the edge. Matter, depth, the solid world you push against, these are the shadow, not the substance. The substance is information written on a distant surface. The shadow walks, the script abides. Let that thought settle over everything you have ever known, every love you have felt, every war humanity has fought, every cathedral, every symphony, every quiet morning and every grief, all of it, a magnificent three-dimensional broadcast, emanating from a flat quantum script at the boundary of existence, not less real for being projected but transformed by it. The whole pageant of history rendered from code, the way a film rendered from light, still moves us to tears. We are watching the universe play itself, and we are characters written into the very script we are reading. And space and time, it seems, are not the permanent stage we always took them for. They are not the fixed canvas on which events are painted. Increasingly, the mathematics suggests the reverse, that space itself is woven, stitched together after the fact from the quantum correlations between bits of information on the boundary. Entangle the code in one pattern, and a smooth, connected space emerges. Tear those correlations apart, and the space itself comes undone. The stage does not precede the play. The play sews the stage into being thread by quantum thread as it goes. So step back and feel the shape of the answer forming. You are not a separate object adrift in a cold and empty void, isolated from all the others by miles of meaningless space. That picture was the illusion. Beneath the projection, distance dissolves, separateness dissolves, and what remains is a single, unified field of cosmic code. Every particle, every person, every star, threads in one continuous fabric. We are not things in the universe. We are the universe written out and actively computed bit by bit, moment by luminous moment. If this idea has loosened something in you, if you can feel the old, solid world tilting on its axis, then you are exactly where the frontier of physics now stands, peering into the dark machinery beneath reality. There is so much further down to go, into entanglement, into quantum gravity, into the experiments racing to test these ideas in our lifetime. Subscribe and follow us deeper. We are charting the strangest territories the human mind has ever entered, and we would rather not make the journey into the dark alone. And yet, knowing all of this, suspecting that depth is a projection and matter a shadow, look up tonight anyway. The stars still burn. The light still arrives across the dark. Your hand still moves through the air, and the world still answers with all its impossible rendered beauty. The hologram is flawless. The pixels refresh without a flicker you will ever see, painting a cosmos so seamless it feels like the only truth there could be. Whatever reality is made of, the view is extraordinary. Take a long, slow moment and appreciate it.